and tell you a little bit about what's going on right across the street here at 100 Clinchfield. So y'all might have noticed over the last couple of years we have been very, very busy. We got a lot to talk about today and do it in short order, and we're going to tag team to be able to share this information with you. So what I want to do today is to talk a little bit about the business decision that we made a couple of years ago to repurpose the Kingsport mill in the middle of the pandemic. And then Peyton Clifton is actually going to talk about that. And Troy, our new mill manager that you'll meet as well, is going to talk about the work system, because not only are we changing a lot of equipment over at the mill, but we're changing the way we go about managing, operating, and maintaining that equipment as well. And then I'm going to finish up by telling you a little bit about the project and the challenges that we have here in this crazy world to make it happen. And so I'll start off by asking, does anybody know what VUCA means? If you've heard me in the last few weeks, you probably would have known that. But VUCA is an acronym that, let's see if I can make it. Which one?
Does it have something to do
the up arrow?
Yeah, I think so.
Huh? No. Nope. So our VUCA world is an acronym that means volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And one of the things that I got to do when I left here in 2014 and went to the corporate office is we had a leader in our group who was a West Point grad, and he sent our entire leadership team to management school at the Thayer Institute on the West Point Army campus up in New York. And we actually learned about business and leadership from retired generals who were on the battlefield. And they talked about the way that the battlefield changed during the course of Desert Storm. It was quite different than it ever was before in previous wars. And the acronym that they identified with to talk about that was VUCA. Because as you can imagine, in Desert Storm and all the things that happened there, the way that wars were run changed forever, and they remain that way to this day. But VUCA also very well represents the world that we live in today, right? So we got a world where we got pandemic, political unrest, unprecedented inflation, supply chain, and maybe even a war coming around the corner here. So it has changed so much, but our industry and our company have also changed significantly, not directly related to that, but indirectly as well. But the business world has changed. Uncoated free sheet, which is what we used to make at the Kingsport mill, has gone crazy. It dropped 30% the first quarter of 2020 whenever the pandemic hit. So it immediately required that we change the way we do our business, and we were ready for that. Our company has seen a lot of changes. We spun off one of our divisions. We also restructured our leadership in our corporate office, and then most recently we were acquired by a company called Paper Excellence. And so no, we're no longer a publicly held company, and that's been quite an adventure for us. But this is the world we live in, and standing up a $350 million conversion on a very tight schedule right now is a particularly difficult challenge for us, and we'll talk a little bit more about that today. But first of all, I'm going to turn it over to, let's see here, I'm going the wrong way. Still don't have it. There we go. I'm going to turn it over to Peyton Clifton. You've heard a little bit about him earlier. It's Calvin's son, and Peyton has been a mechanical engineer working here at the mill for the last few years. Has done some great work for us, and he and Lindsay are joining us today, but I'm going to turn it over to Peyton. So, there you go.
All right. Yeah, so I want to talk a little bit about why containerboard? Why is that something that... Oh, let me get this.
Put that on too.
We got all kinds of microphones.
Yes.
Make sure the world hears us here. So why containerboard? Well, for one thing, Domtar has been in the forest products business for over 175 years, and we're really good at turning fiber into useful products. So that's the first and foremost reason. There's already a large market that's growing in North America for containerboard. As you can see, there are 191 million tons per year across the global market. and 43 million tons per year in North America, which makes up a $33 billion market here in North America. It's the fastest growing end market for pulp and paper, with demand growing year over year at almost 2.5% a year, so a growing market. It's a very attractive market for many declining grades of paper. As Charlie mentioned, we made uncoated free sheet. That's 100% of what we made at the mill before it shut down here in Kingsport. And when the pandemic hit, it really took a turn for the worst, and so it's attractive for us to get out of the uncoated free sheet market here in Kingsport and into the container board market, a growing market. Also, the top 4 producers make up 70% of the North American market. And then the biggest reason I think to get into this is e-commerce is growing at an astounding rate, 18 to 25% a year. I mean, that's rarely a day that you come home and there's not an Amazon box on the front porch, right? So it's a growing business, and it's very attractive. So a little bit about how or Domtar's roadmap to getting into the container board market. So a little over 5 years ago, we took a comprehensive study as a company, and we looked at what are some opportunities for Domtar to get into, other than, we're a major producer of fluff pulp and uncoated free sheet, but is there something else out there that we could get into? And container board rose to the top. So we identified and announced in August of 2020 to transform the Kingsport mill to a container board mill, and this is just the first of four of our sites that we're planning on converting or adding on container board to our facilities. So, in Ashdown, Arkansas right now, we've got a project in the engineering phase to produce virgin liner board at that facility. And then we'll be moving on to our facility in Hallsville, Kentucky, as well as eventually getting to Marlborough, South Carolina. So all those mills will be getting into container board market, and ultimately we have a goal of producing 2.5 million tons per year of container board. So why Kingsport? Why did we choose to go to Kingsport first? First of all, we have the assets in Kingsport are first quartile. We're very efficient, and the speed of this machine and the quality of the equipment we have at this site makes it an ideal candidate. We have the opportunity to enter the packaging business with a very competitive and low-cost asset. That's key. That's key for us. And then our paper machine is a thoroughbred. It can run at about 4,500 feet a minute. It's a beautiful machine, and we have the opportunity to make a lot of paper really quick. We have, like I said earlier, we have the potential to become the home to one of the lowest cost recycled container board machines in the United States. And we're also very centrally located here in Northeast Tennessee. So there are about 60 independent box makers around us that represent nearly 8 million tons of annual demand. So we're trying to get a piece of that. Obviously, we won't get all that 8 million, but we're definitely going to work to serve the independent box plants. That's our main goal as a company. And then we also have the opportunity to source recycled fiber from 72 recovered paper suppliers with 100 locations in a 7-state radius from here at the Kingsport mill. So we got plenty of people that are looking for cardboard, and we got a lot of suppliers of raw materials. So we're set up for success here in Kingsport. This is a little bit of what our raw materials are going to look like that are coming into the mill now. So I'm sure everybody is used to seeing on Industry Drive the big tower of wood chips. That will be no more. We'll no longer bring in wood chips, but this will be our raw materials that we're bringing in. So different grades of OCC or old corrugated containers. So we'll bring them in bales like this, and they'll be pulped down and made into new liner boards. So a very diverse group of raw materials there. And then let's talk a little bit about our sustainability at the Kingsport mill. So we will recycle over 685,000 tons of OCC every year and form it into new boxes. So that's 685,000 tons that are not going into the landfill. That's the way I look at it. So that's a great thing. This new system we have is very efficient in terms of freshwater usage. So we'll cut our freshwater usage at the mill by over 60%. And we'll do that by cleaning up our used water and recycling it throughout the process. Fewer chemicals will be used in this process. We're no longer breaking down wood chips, and we're no longer bleaching wood chips. So because of that, there'll be fewer chemicals used. significantly fewer chemicals used. Our air emissions will be lower. We've converted our chemical recovery boiler to a natural gas boiler, so our emissions will go way down there, so helping the air quality in the region. Our biomass boiler will continue to burn 300 tons per day of wood waste, and it'll also burn the plastics and the rejects that come out of the pulping system as we break down the cardboard containers. Also, our turbine generator on site will produce more than 95% of the electricity consumed by the mill, so we'll almost be standalone in terms of electricity usage. And then also in our OCC warehouse, we'll be utilizing electric bale clamp trucks, and so they're cutting down on emissions as well. We got a little video here that will show you overview.
Project Smoky is really laying the foundation for a new growth engine within Domtar. So we're so excited to be entering into the packaging market. And what we're going to be doing is providing renewable, reusable, recyclable packaging materials for a society that we all touch in many different ways every day.
I'm James Chivers. I'm the Director of Strategic Capital for the Packaging Division for Domtar, and I'm the Project Manager for Project Smoky here in Kingsport. Project Smoky is about Domtar entering into the containerboard market. It's our first big step into that market, and it's a very important project for that first step.
We're so excited that we're going to be providing many jobs for the Kingsport community, building on the over 100-year legacy that we have here in Kingsport, Tennessee, providing renewable packaging materials for the future.
So then we move off into the precision alignment aspect of it, and I'm pretty proud of that. It reduces the power consumption for the mill. It improves the quality of the product that they're making, and it extends the life of the machinery. Bearings last longer, etc. That alignment process, we're putting rolls 30, 32 feet long, 4-foot diameters within a tolerance of usually 3 to 5 thousandths, which is less than the thickness beam there.
New pulping core screening building behind us is definitely utilized for all the core screening efforts, the beginning stages of making your pulp, so to speak, for your new lining board. That'll in turn go to the new process building that's behind us as well. That'll house all your fine screening and getting all the existing cardboard broken down to the right specifications in order to get transferred to the paper machine.
Floyd, the Vice President of our packaging business, Strategic Capital, and I'm really proud of the team that we have here. And I'll tip my hat to my buddies at Max. You guys are on top of it every day. It's been a long time since I've been a witness to a conversion project like this or a large project in a mill. I do believe that this one is absolutely bound for success.
See, proceed on the reel.
All right, I will now introduce Troy Wilson, the mill manager at the Kingsport mill, who oversees the whole operation here in Kingsport, and I'll let him talk a little bit about the work system. That down arrow, right there.
Okay. A little bit about what's going to change. We've seen a lot of change here that's taking place just right across the street. Mill's been here since 1916. We've seen a number of machines come and go. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5 came and went. This is K1. It'll be here hopefully for another 100 years with the conversion that we're going through, but a lot has changed, as we've heard this morning. One area I want to talk about that's changed as well. So when a machine went down in March of 2020, and we decided to do the conversion here, we decided to change the way we do work as well. So we were 340 employees. We're going to go down to roughly 174 when the mill starts up. Okay. So we had a callback list. We brought people back based on the callback list. There was roughly 180 people there. So we brought everyone back to the mill, and we wanted them to know that there's several changes from the old mill. This is a union facility, but the old line of progression piece will go away, and I'll explain that to you because we're going to change how we do work. We'll be more of a team concept, flow to work, high performance, pay for skills. So you learn a skill, you get paid, you keep that pay. You learn another one, you get paid, you keep that pay, and you learn another one. In exchange, what you get is a high skill inventory of employees that know how to do multiple things and can flow to work wherever the work is needed. You're not just assigned to one specific job where this is your job. Each day you come in, you go home like the traditional line of progression, right? It's a team concept. You work as a team. Okay? So how does that work? So this is what a team looks like. So the team is made up of families. You see that? So if you look at the bottom family, there's one team called Material Prep Family. Okay, in that material prep, there's 3 functions there. What we call an OCC pulper operator, OCC pulper building operator, and then there's the auxiliary material prep, was at the entry level. There's 3 positions on the OCC pulpers. There's one for the pulper building, and there's one for the auxiliary. Those are jobs within that family, okay? So if you would add that up, that's 5 people, 5 positions. The number at the top signifies 6 is how many is actually in that family, okay? So as you work your way up through the families, you'll see that the field assistant in the finishing family, there's 1 position there, winder operator, there's 3 positions, and shipping, there's 3 positions. Those team members, we call them team members now, it's a team concept. All the terminology changes as well. There is some 6, 7 positions there with 9 people in that family. 2 extras there. And it goes on to the machine family, there's 2 extra in that family. The power family, there's 2 extra in that family. So as you learn, instead of traditional line of progression, when you came in as entry level, you had to wait for somebody to leave, retire, quit, get fired. Something had to happen to create that vacancy in order to learn the next skill, right? You don't have to do that in this concept. As you enter into this concept and you're a new hire, you learn this job, and then you learn this job, and then you learn this job. You learn all 3 of those jobs. You get paid for all 3 of those because you have the knowledge, and we're going to pay you for the knowledge, and then you rotate within those 3 jobs. Now the extras, what makes this, because here's what you hear, this is a quality of life with this, which we changed the work schedule as well, but work-life balance. That's very important to the workforce today. When I came up, I've been in this for 40 years. Work-life balance wasn't even in the dictionary, right? It wasn't anything you talked about. You went to work and you came home whenever. You just worked all the time, right? Well, this changes that. So if you look at and you add all those extras up on each of those families, that gives you 7 extra people on every team. So every team has 7 extras. That's for vacations. That's for people calling off. That's for if you have to go to meetings. That's for training purposes. So since you have such a high skill inventory in this concept here, everyone comes to work every day, goes home every day at the time that they're scheduled to work. Off days, you get your off days. You don't have to work on your off days because you don't have the skill levels to run the mill. You get your off days. We're going to run the DuPont schedule with this. So in the DuPont schedule, you get 7 days off every month in a row. That's just 1 week every month you get off. That's 12 weeks out of the year that you get without even using any vacation. And that's sacred, so you get those 7 days. There's no, well, I got to work on my off day. I got to work, I got to stay over this afternoon. All of that goes away. So, and of course you get your regular off days through the month too. So you never work more than 4 days a week. Some weeks you only work 3 days a week. So quality of life goes way up with this concept. So once again, you learn those skills. You get paid for all 3. You work all 3 of those in a rotation to stay proficient, and that's in each family. So it's actually the system sustains itself without any interference from the outside to help maintain it. So I've already spoke to most of this, but the traditional line of progression was someone leaves and then you get to go do that job, you train on that, then that's your job going forward until someone leaves again and you get to move up. We're going to pay you, we're going to train you on multiple skills, and you're going to get paid and keep that. Operators will flow to any one of those jobs that they're qualified on. They don't come in each day thinking this is just my job, because you may come in as a fork truck driver, you were there for 5 minutes, and then you may go do another job in that progression, because we've trained you, qualified you, and paying you for that. So basically this all says what I've already said here. Also, this is a big change for the operation as well. Operators will be required to do maintenance type activities as well. Maybe tightening a packing on a pump would be an example. In the old mill, you wouldn't do that. In this mill, you can. Same with mechanics. Mechanics will be asked to do operational type skills. Not to run any of the machinery, because we're not qualifying them to do that. But there's times when an operator needs some help and assistance. Maybe it's we call pulling a piece of clothing on, or pulling on something, or taking something apart, or lifting something. Mechanics will help operators do those tasks as well. So that's it. That's the workforce. The workforce changed quite a bit. It's a culture change. It's all of us coming to work together, working together while we're here, and then going home together. So we've even designed a pre-shift meetings where the operators and mechanics together will come in. We'll have a brief 10-minute session, talk about the last 24 hours, and we will walk out on the floor together as well as a team and relieve that team. So, okay. Questions on that? All right, good.
The employees part of the union?
They are part of the union. We still do.
Conflict with the union with the way you...
No, we actually, when we were talking about whether or not this mill was going to stay here or not, and how we had to get the project approved, and the project being approved mean that we're going to be a first quartile mill. Not only first quartile, but the first decile of the top quartile. In that comes a lot of different components, but one of them is to pay, low cost producer, what makes you quartile, first quartile. So we have the union support with this, the international. And seniority is still honored in this concept. We still honor that. We still have a contract. We still follow a contract. It's just what's changed is how we work together and do work.
I'm impressed. You know, I've worked places where there weren't enough people for you to be able to take vacation.
Right.
This is fabulous.
Right.
So have you made this work? I mean,
yeah, so that's a very good point. So this isn't something new. This isn't something that Troy Wilson thought up or Charlie Floyd thought up when you said, hey, let's scratch something out on a sheet of paper and let's give it a try and see if it works. I used to work in a concept like that. In 1994, I had an opportunity to do the same thing we're doing here, build a 100% recycle machine. And we had this kind of flow to work concept. I came out of a union and went to that. Don't get me wrong on the union thing, because I'm not talking bad about unions. I work in both concepts. Both of them work for me, okay? It's just all about how we work together, because this is still going to be a union. But yes, so to answer your question, this is tried and proven. When we talk about being first quartile and top decile of 100% recycle machines out there, we know who number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 is. Number 3 is the mill I used to work at. I want to be better than that one. I want to be in front of those guys. They're still number 3 since 1995 in North America. They work this same concept. We have a mill in Marlboro, South Carolina that works this concept as well. So within Domtar. So it's tried and proven. Yes, sir.
3 8-hour shifts?
It'll be a DuPont schedule. It'll be 12-hour shifts. Yes. Yes, sir.
The extra individuals that are in each family,
Yes.
are they designated or do they rotate into that position?
They are designated. So just to talk through it, so the machine family, see the machine family there? There's only 3 jobs in that family. It's called a wet end operator, control room operator, dry end operator. There's only 3 positions to work, but yet there's 5 people there. So how do you have, it's a very good question, because even the operators are like, why do we have 5 people? I said, this is why we have 5 people, to your point. So you don't have to work every off day. So we'll train all 5 people on all 3 of those jobs. All 5 people will have all 3 of those skills. They'll all make the same money. So there's no hierarchy anymore. There's no one job is higher than the other and you've reached the top. They're all equal. They pay the same, no matter which one you're working. So you'll have 5 times 3. You have 15 skills in that one family to utilize instead of just 3. Yes, sir.
What's the reach of your recycling collection as far, like Kingsport had its recycling program, but are you reaching out how far?
How far are we reaching out to bring the recycle in today? Yeah, we're going 350 miles. Maybe in some cases we might go a little bit further than that, but it's a 350-mile radius. Did I see another question? Yes, sir.
Nothing to do with this, but as a child, I sat here and I smelled this smell, and we all knew that smell was money.
That's what we always heard, wasn't it? Yeah.
Damn right.
Yeah.
We don't have a smell now, so how the hell can I smell money?
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that so many times. Like I said, I've been doing this for 40 years. And you get to a sense to where you don't smell it anymore, but people passing through out of town will, right? But we're not, this is a whole different process now from what we're talking about when we were bringing chips in. So I don't think you're going to experience any of that smell. So you know that you just need to know we're still making money. Yes, sir.
2 questions. One, you probably mentioned that you're one of the 4 top producers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who are the other 3?
It's Georgia Pacific, PCA, Packaging Corporation of America. That's PCA, Georgia Pacific, West Rock, and International Paper.
So there's 5 of you actually.
Well, we'll be in it. We won't be the largest then. Most of it will be made. You're talking about we're only going after 600,000 tons a year. Okay, these mills are making millions of tons. Eventually, we'll be in that 1 million ton bracket of that family. But here in Kingsport, when we start our Domtar packaging, will be only at 600,000, and it'll be coming out of the market that's roughly 800 million of independents.
Okay, but my second question has 2 parts. I gather from what you said today that this will be 100% inbound truck raw materials, 100% outbound finished goods.
Right.
Packaging people.
That's correct.
That's true, is that right? Okay. My second question, will there be any international export business involved?
There will be some. Roll pulp. We'll make what we call off-grade or anything that's off-grade. In the beginning when we start up, we're lining the paper machine out, and we're not bringing to the market any paper until we feel comfortable we got the best we can make. We'll make some what we call roll pulp. They'll take those rolls and cut those rolls up. They'll convert those into whatever product they're making. It'll be a supplemental furnish for someone else. Yes, sir.
Troy, this might be for Charlie, but what's the prospect of having a box plant locate somewhere in our region?
Yeah.
I think we can see that at some point in time.
Yeah.
We just got to get up and running, and the closest box plant to here is
there's one in Cleveland, Tennessee, which is probably going to be one of the closer ones here. There's some in North Carolina, But the one in Cleveland, Tennessee is going to make some, we're going to make some of the largest rolls we produce for that facility there in Cleveland. That'll be part of the startup tons that we make. The initial sale of product will go there.
But yes, there is a very good possibility that someone could decide to land one here, Mayor.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I wouldn't rule that out. What our thought right now is we don't have a box plant, so we will be the machine for the independents, and the independents will be our converters. That's our plan, but I would never rule that out. Yes, sir.
Do you see the possibility of expansion, and are you planning or engineering so that you can expand the product line?
Not at this time. Our expansion now is moving into other facilities, moving to Ashdown and moving to Hallsville, moving to Marlboro, but you can never say never. So, but no, I don't have a crystal ball, but we're not planning any other paper machine here at this moment. So, yes, sir.
Your recyclables, where do they come from? Is it like cities that's collected, or?
Yeah, mostly come from MRFs. That's where most of it comes from. Some of it will come from like Food City type, where there'd be supermarkets. You see them sitting out back and they load them on a flatbed truck and bring them to the mill. That would be one way to bring it in. But your larger cities will have these MRFs, and that's where a lot of that product will come from.
Do you have any goals on how much material you'll be able to get out of the Tri-Cities region directly?
Charlie may be able to answer
We're
that.
actually
Yeah.
doing a study of that right now, and there's a slide I'll show you in a few minutes.
Yeah.
The closest materials recycling facility to here is in Knoxville, so it's over 90 miles away. So there's a great opportunity to locate a MRF in this area as well. Oh, by the way, you're going to have one of the largest recycled fiberboard consumers here, and one of the largest plastics recyclers a mile away. So
Right.
it's going to be a pardon? Yeah, materials recycling facility. Yeah, that's what it's.
Right.
But it's basically a sorting facility where you take a certain single or double line of a material and sort it out to consume it.
Mm-hmm.
Would Eastman also make use of that with their plastic recycling?
Yes.
Is that the same?
Yeah, we're
Yes.
working together in the
Yeah.
circular economy team and
Yeah.
getting ready to start moving on that.
Yeah. So when you bring these bales in, there's still contaminants in it, right? One of them being plastic, which in our process, plastic will be the largest piece of those contaminants. About 120 tons a day of plastic will come out of these bales that will incinerate in our biomass boiler. But there's the largest piece of those contaminants will be in the plastic world. There's other contaminants as well, but mostly plastics.
Eastman used to have a significant quantity of cardboard for recycling.
Well, we're talking with some of the bigger suppliers, and Troy mentioned Food City. They're 25,000 tons a year, and 133 plus stores that they have. So they'll be an important customer for us as well.
Mm-hmm.
Can you provide any information on MAC? Who are they? What's their location?
On who?
MAC, is that the corporation?
Oh, Max. Yeah, I'm going to talk about Max.
Yeah, Max is a general contracting or construction company, so they manage the different contract entities that we have on the mill site, and they got about 35 leaders of different parts of the operation here. They are very closely aligned with Domtar because we use them in a lot of the facilities we do with large projects in. But very good skilled company at managing those people out in the field for us. So they're an important part of our business.
They're almost like family now. We've worked with them.
Yeah. Now I will tell you this: the video was done by one of the leaders of the MAC group, who happens to do videography as a hobby. But he's done several videos for us, and they're all out there on the internet. And they're really cool. You should go take a look at them.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, sir.
You know, when somebody learns all three jobs in one of those areas, how do you feel comfortable that they actually know the other jobs that they're trained in?
We'll keep them in a rotation where they stay fresh in those skills. We'll schedule them that way because they'll go through extensive training right up to and including testing that they'll have to achieve a passing score. We put them through a rigorous training process, so we know they're qualified. And then to your point, how do we maintain that qualification? There'll be a rotation to where you won't lose that skill. we'll schedule them that way.
Most of your pictures depicted what looked like cardboard. I'm wondering if newspaper print like material could be used as well.
Yep, so let's talk about it real quick. So here's the main diet of what we'll feed. This number 11 and number 12 OCC. The difference in those two is one's been double sorted. This is the more cleaner furnish. Now that's what we will use mostly. Now this is box clippings. It's called DLK, double line craft. That's the edges of the trim out of the box plants. When they made a box, they had trim on each end. That comes back to us. This is really, really expensive furnish. We will only use that if we need to, so that won't be a main diet of us. But to your point, this is exactly what that is. That's mixed waste. That's nothing more than what's in that trash can back there. That's taking that trash can and dumping it into the process and recovering any fiber we can get. Now that's the cheapest source of fiber, but you have to weigh the fiber with the quality of the sheet too, so we have to meet quality parameters as well, but we'll use as much of that as we can to drive our costs down, but that's exactly right. That's in that mixed waste.
Time for one more question. So you're producing 95% of your own electricity, so how big is your turbine generator? How many megawatts do you all use?
It'll do 40,
It's a
50,
it's
50,
rated at
yeah,
50
50.
megawatts, and we'll run about between 40 and 42.
Right,
Which would be gracious plan.
yeah.
When you gonna start?
What is when are we gonna start up? Fourth quarter.
Yep, we'll be starting up in the fourth quarter.
Merry Christmas. Yeah.
Let me talk about some technical successes that we've had. The conversion has gone really well. Our front end loading, we have a new engineering process that we use where we do a lot of the detailed design before we even start buying the equipment and doing the fine design. So that's gone really well. Our engineering accuracy, I think this is pretty cool. We did a full site laser scan of the existing facility over there. It's a 6 terabyte file, but on computer we absolutely have located every component that's in the mill over there. I could tell you how far it is from the top of the chimney to Troy's desk in his office at the mill. It's that accurate. So rebuilding and modifying this facility has been really a pretty easy thing for us with that type of information. The schedule, we also took a very aggressive view on the construction schedule. If we finish on the date that we would like to, we'll finish faster than 85% of the facilities that build similar facilities to us that are out there. And we used a different contracting strategy here because we knew there were a lot of skilled contract support in this area. So we execute in smaller scopes, and how you perform on one scope determines whether or not you get the bid on another. So you'll see a little bit more about that in just a couple of minutes. But some of our challenges early on in the progression of the project, we did lose the mill manager, our leader here, Marty Barfield, so that was a challenge for us. And pleased to say that by that we're actually going to honor Marty's contribution here in a few weeks. We're going to have a memorial service, and we're going to rename the bridge across Reedy Creek as the Barfield Bridge. So our CEO is going to be here, and Marty's family is going to come over, and we're really looking forward to that opportunity to honor Marty. The pandemic has taken a big swing at us. It's had an inflationary impact on all of our construction materials. We bought a lot of those early and quick. As a matter of fact, if you ride by on Clinchfield Street, you see the parking lot full of materials. We bought all that stuff early because we had a feeling that this was going to happen, and sure enough, it has. So, and one thing that's really interesting is that in the third quarter of last year, we were supposed to start receiving some of our big equipment from China, and the company that's supplying us called us one day and said, you know, most of it's complete, but we just learned that it's going to take 6 months before we can put this stuff on a ship to send it to you. And that would have ruined the entire project and basically shut us down. So really pleased at the innovation that we have in the company. But what we did was we went out and we found a break bulk ship carrier, and we rented it. And we took it to a port in China and picked up every piece of the equipment that was being manufactured there in mid-January and sailed it across the ocean. And we had it in Charleston by the end of February. So how many of you have ever rented a ship before? I have. And and they cost millions, but it was very, very well worth it. So anyway, we are still seeing a lot of significant equipment delays, and that's a challenge for us, particularly when we talk about when we got to start up, because we are basically every day we're getting somebody saying, hey, we can't bring you that for another month or so, but we're putting the pressure on them and trying to get ready as fast as we can. So from that perspective, that we've had a lot of challenges, but the project is moving forward for sure. These are some photographs that you might not see if you ride by out on the road, but on the left here you can see the old paper machine buildings here and a turbine generator. All of that was demolished. You can see it here back last year, and now we have a 150,000 square foot warehouse just tucked back inside the mill there. That warehouse was built by GRC, and they did a really good job on that. This is an interesting thing that we put on here. We were actually able to track our vessel, our ship, as it was coming across the ocean from China. I don't know if anyone's ever pulled up a map like this, but it was a dedicated break bulk vessel. And this is every little red dot, green dot, blue dot there represents a ship in the Pacific Ocean. And you can see that ours had a beacon on it, and this is China was over here, and it came down through here, went through the Panama Canal, and then came up to Charleston, which I thought was really neat. We actually went down to Charleston and met the captain of the ship and watched them unload it, which was really neat. A couple other things about the project is we had some really significant shipments by truck into the mill. This is a 200-foot long trailer that's coming down Center Street into the mill. It had one of the pieces of the paper machine on it. Over here, interesting, some environmental things we did. We had 31,000 tons of concrete and brick that we ground up and reused as the foundation for the new operation. So really, really good work there on behalf of the team. Here's some other photos. This is actually a bridge beam that's coming down I-26, 175 foot long, which I thought was pretty neat. And this is the area that's seeing a lot of modification in here from our old machine, and that's going really well. Over here you can see the three-dimensional engineering drawings that we're designing the mill with. They came out of that laser scan that we talked about earlier, so really good at working on that. These are all the contractors we have on the site, or most of them. You can see some of them are from the area, certainly GRC, TEC, and others, but these are the different contractors that we're using on the site. We actually have, I think I might have shared it in here, but we have over 800 contract employees on the mill site right now with 31 different contractors. So it's a huge task just to keep everybody busy. But what I wanted to talk about was some of the great things that we've been able to negotiate with the community and work with them on. First of all, the land swap, I think everybody is aware of that. And the city of Kingsport, I guess, won an economic development award partially because of the exchange of Cement Hill and Cloud Park. So we're really proud of that, what it's been able to do for both of us. When we decided to build this type of business here, we knew that truck traffic would be a concern in the downtown. So we worked with TDOT and with the city of Kingsport to redirect truck traffic as it comes into the mill. So it'll come up the interstate, get on Stone Drive, and then get off on Lynn Garden and come right into Cloud Park. And that's the way we'll be managing the traffic and flow going in and out of the mill. The economic impact of our construction team has been big for us. With all these employees, about 600 of those get $100 per diem every day, which is for food and board, which is a $60,000 a day payment that Domtar is making to people basically to spend in the Kingsport community. So also we have what's called a burn rate, which is how much you spend on the project every week. And a few weeks ago we surpassed $2 million a week, basically is what we spend to keep the project going. We talked a little bit about the circular economy. We are working with Eastman on that, and we would like to see a materials recycling facility in the area, but there's some work to be done there as well. I want to pat the city of Kingsport On the back here, Chris Picard, Jessica Harmon, and the city have been really amazing. Thank you, Mayor Scholl. They've helped us with the land swap. We've used classrooms at the Higher Ed Center. They've loaned us buses for driving tours of the mill. They collaborated with us on the parks, and of course the police really help us get those long, heavy trailers in and out of the mill all the time. So, done a great job there of helping us get there. This is recycling statistics by the EPA, and this is to say that, you know, we really can do better here as a community in Northeast Tennessee. There are 3 materials that between ourselves and Eastman, we could really use all of it that's produced in this area. The wood that we'll burn in our waste wood boiler is about 8.7% of all the landfilled material. Paper is about 13%, and plastics at 19%. So we could really make a dent in this. About 40% we could pull out of these landfills if we were to choose to do that, and we had a facility that would consume them, and we do right here in Kingsport. So I'm looking forward to seeing those numbers change for us. Recycling of cardboard is not something that's new, but interestingly, across our country, over 90% of all the cardboard that's used gets recycled, which is an amazing statistic. And you can see where that's been over the years. Okay? And I said this earlier, but these are the locations of the materials recycling facilities in our geographic area. And as you can see, there's nothing in Northeast Tennessee, so we really need to work on that. And then the last thing here is our business goals. We want to be transformative as we enter this new business and doing it differently. We've got to be disruptive to be able to get the customer base that we want. And we're going in at it in a strategic way, and we're cost effective. So really excited about being able to complete this project and see what it can do for Domtar and for the community.